What up, YouTube? This is your boy Robert Bob TV Brown. How you doing today? Long time no see. It's been a while. I've been in quarantine. We're still going through this thing in New York City. We got they keep extending the time out to May 15, and I get it. I get it. We got too much of a population. People always say, "How come you guys are getting so many people that's dying off because of this virus?" Our numbers are no different from your city. The thing is, we got more people in New York City, and most of the world's population come in through New York City, and California is second. We're the international hub of the world. So it's common for us to get viruses, Ebola and all that. You think about it, we've had it in New York City. We just had a plan to stop it right ahead, right away. And unfortunately, we didn't have that kind of option this year. But we got it now. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the mishaps. You got our president of the United States. And I try to respect people of authority, but I can respect your position, but I ain't got to respect your decisions. I don't have to respect the way you legislate. I don't have to respect the way you govern. And it is up to me as the person who put you in office, or the person who allowed you to get in office, or the person, whatever that caused you to go into that office. Even though I respect the position, I got to come at you. When you do right, I'm going to big you up. When you do wrong, I got to come at you. And everybody should be doing that to their politicians, whether Democrat or Republican. See, me, I don't give a crap about parties. I don't give a crap about party affiliation, gangism, territorialism, none of that stuff. I don't give a crap about blue no matter who and red till you're dead. I don't give a crap about none of that stuff. I put you in office. People put you in office. I may not put you in office, but if a majority put you in office, then you need to take care of the majority. Your number one job is the majority. In this case, his number one job, Donald J. Trump, his number one job is to kind of get us through this thing, because Biden ain't doing too much a good job. He's just as bad. If it wasn't for Bernie Sanders advising him, Biden wouldn't even know where to go. That's why it would be dumb for him to pick a freaking woman for vice president instead of picking Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders is the one giving him the advice, telling him what he need to do to carry people through this mess. And I got my problem with all three of them. All three of them. But let's get into this story. So understand, I'm in quarantine, so you're going to hear babies. We have a new baby in the house, okay? And right now, I'm not able to go to the library where I normally shoot the show. I got to do it here, okay? So you're going to hear background noise, but hey, it's all good. All right, so the point is, our president has some of the dumbest things to say ever in history. Now, is this enough for me to just say, "Oh, Jesus, that's it. I got to throw my head in for Biden"? We're going to deal with that later, because I ain't ever voting for a bigot, lying, pathological rapist with rape allegations. Never, ever, ever going to do it. So no Biden, no Trump for this brother. You do what you want, but let's get into this story. All right. I hope you guys are doing great. And despite the situation and circumstances, but let's get into Trump's false claimant.
So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside, or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see, but the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
And can I just ask a very quick question? You spoke to Boris Johnson this week.
I
just wonder how he sounded, how he was. When do you think he'll be back at work?
He called me a few days ago. I will tell you, he sounded incredible. I was actually surprised. I thought it'd be like, "Oh, Donald, how are you?" He was ready to go. I'm very surprised to tell you this. It's like the old.
Thank God Boris is better. I don't want to see nobody die. I don't want to see nobody get sick. I don't care whether it's Republican, Democrat. Don't care. I'm a humanist. I love people. I don't want to see nobody die. I don't care how mean and ornery are you. A lot of you guys were celebrating, and I did a video, and I had to catch myself when one of the Koch brothers died. I believe in redemption for everybody. I read a story of Apostle Paul that went out and tried to kill a bunch of Christians until Jesus himself. Now, you don't have to believe the story, but this is how the story goes. Jesus got fed up and confronted Paul himself. He said, why are you persecuting me? I'm Jesus who you persecuting. He blind. I mean, he was blind. The light was so great. But as a result of that, Paul changed and he became one of his chief vocalists, prophets, teachers, and led many people to the gospel. I believe anybody can do that. I believe Trump can do that if people pray for him to make the right decisions, because obviously don't seem like that many people praying because he ain't making the right decision, and you can see it right here. But I often pray that no matter who's president, I don't pray for their downfall. I pray that they do right by the American people, not according to them, but according to the people. And I believe anybody can do that. But in this case, this is not right, Trump. Now, can ultraviolet rays help you on the inside? No. You're not getting any light inside your lungs. Ultraviolet rays are harmful to the human being. It causes cancer. It causes migraine. It causes retina damage. Ultraviolet rays is not good for your skin. It causes skin cancer. So why do you think you're going to shoot an ultraviolet ray inside a person and do double the damage? This is a protection shield. Imagine what ultraviolet rays would do in you. So no, man. Nobody's doing that. So stop saying that. Stop. And these doctors, you need to step up and tell Trump, say, shh, nah, bro. Shh, don't say that. We can't do that, man. We need to talk. Don't go up there saying that. Can disinfectants help you? Well, let's look at the word disinfectant. Now, the term disinfectant, we could assume that he's talking about Clorox Right, bleach, OxyClean, all that kind of stuff. If he wouldn't have kept running his mouth, we could have debunked that, because disinfectant just means the opposite of infectant. Anything that keeps you from being infected could be labeled as a disinfectant. Matter of fact, according to Wikipedia, it said disinfectants are antimicrobial agents designed to inactive or destroy microorganisms on inert surfaces. On inert surfaces like a table, things like that. So you can spray disinfectant on it. And Trump did talk about, the guy before Trump did talk about how hard it is for this virus to stay on inert surfaces and on the outside. And there's a lifespan. They can't live forever on surfaces. On cardboard, it's 24 hours. I think on metal, it's about a week. So that's why you always use what we call traditional disinfectant, Lysol, Clorox, whatever, alcohol, 60% proof, hand sanitizer and all that. And you put it on that if you put it on that surface, in a quick amount of time, it will kill the virus. But that's outside, Trump. You can't do that inside the body. The body is not an inert surface. Inside the body is full of organism. It's not an inert surface. Now let's get back to the story. Now, can ultraviolet rays kill the virus? Absolutely right. They did a story on CBS about it 2 years ago. Absolutely it can, outside the body. They use it. Some churches use it. They talked about the church in Florida with Rodney Howard-Browne, him having church service and having people walk through this ultraviolet ray thing thinking it's going to kill the virus. Well, he probably thought it'll kill the virus outside the body. And if it was on the body, it does have the potential to kill the virus on the body, but it won't do anything if the virus is in the body. It ain't gonna do anything when you got 500 people singing praises to the Lord with one voice, and all the anything coming out the mouth is filling the air and making it airborne for a certain amount of time. That's why it's dangerous right now to congregate in big numbers and to do things like worship and praise and go to a concert and everybody sing the song and everybody, and the germs just being spreaded. Ultraviolet rays can kill viruses outside the body. They use it in hospitals. Matter of fact, let's go to a story about that. Let me shut up and let you hear the story.
New claims are constantly filling our news feeds about the coronavirus. Some true, many false. Our own Carly Gomez joins us with some statements that claim to have information on how to kill off the virus.
You may have seen these posts online claiming that UV light and sunlight can kill the coronavirus. But could these lights really kill viruses? Let's verify. When it comes to the coronavirus, there's a lot of misinformation online. That's why we're taking your questions to the experts. We got this question from one viewer.
Does UV light kill coronavirus?
So let's verify. Are UV disinfection lamps a safe way to kill COVID-19? Our sources are the Columbia University Irving Medical Center and the World Health Organization. Columbia scientists say what's called broad-spectrum germicidal UV light can kill bacteria and viruses. In fact, it's often used to decontaminate airplanes and hospitals. But here's the thing, it's done with robots and without human exposure because the experts say it's dangerous for humans to be in contact with UVA and UVB light. It can cause skin cancer and cataracts. That's why the World Health Organization says false. Exposing yourself to UV light lamps is not a safe way or effective way to kill COVID-19. Here's another question we're verifying. Does the sunlight kill the coronavirus? There are a lot of tweets out there that say it will. Our source for this is UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund. They say no, quote, this is of course not true. Sunlight has not been proven to kill the coronavirus, and neither the World Health Organization nor the Centers for Disease Control list sunlight as a method for killing the coronavirus. Although UV light isn't safe for people, you can use it to sanitize some of the things most prone to gathering bacteria, like car keys or cell phones. If you want something verified, send us an email.
Now, there you have it. Now, let's go back to the sun thing, because the sun thing, it's a lot of components. Sunlight itself will not kill the virus. Okay, it's a combination of things. It's a combination of sun, humidity, dryness, things like that that will kill the virus. This is what the professionals have said. But we had sunlight all through the winter. So that proves that sunlight does not kill the virus. But in a combination of an atmosphere or an environment, it is known to cause the lifespan of the virus to shorten. Now, saying all this, it is possible ultraviolet rays does kill viruses outside the body, not inside the body. Disinfectants kill viruses outside the body, not inside the body, Mr. President. So wake up. I don't know who's advising you, but come on, bruh. Come on. Now, do I think Joe Biden will have a different take on that? Barely. Don't even let me get on Joe. Joe probably don't, he'll probably forget we in a pandemic. He'll probably wake up in the morning and go to the football game and say where everybody at. All right, so I want to get into another story, because now you know that the president, sometimes I think he really just get a brain fart. Sometimes I think that when his advisors tell him something, the Adderall kind of have him not hear everything clearly. So when he go up front, he's bringing misinformation. Now, I know sometimes he will bring misinformation, anything, sometimes anyway, but sometimes I blame it on Adderall. I mean, for you to say that, you getting it mixed up. You're right when it comes outside the body, when it comes to surfaces and things like that. Ultraviolet rays work, disinfectant work, but not in the body, brother. You're trying to kill somebody. Now, that's that real Hitler sterilization type of stuff. No, no, no. Don't you dare try it. And I don't even want you to try it. Everybody talking about, I wish you tried first. I don't even want you to try it because I don't want nobody to die. And right now, something can happen to you where you could totally turn around and do right by the people. But anyway, let's keep going, because what really ticks me off is when there is some kind of help, such as ultraviolet rays, people want to take that and mess that up and try to speak ill on those things when it's proven, but they'll speak ill on this thing because if Trump mentioned it and he mentioned it the right way instead of his foolishness and this presumption, and it actually worked, they're afraid he's going to get some credit. Now, about a few months ago, probably 2 months ago, Donald Trump began to mention an old medicine that has been known through doctor supervision to help deal with the coronavirus situation, to make it easier for you to go through the process. And that drug is hydroxychloroquine. Now, in studies, hydroxychloroquine does help some people, but it doesn't help most people. Let me repeat it again. It helps some people, but it doesn't help most people. Hydroxychloroquine is not a cure. It is not a vaccine. It's a medical treatment that can help assist you and comfort you going through this situation. Not everybody can take it. You have to get a prescription from your doctor. It's not an over-the-counter. And if you're buying it online and bootlegging it, it will be very dangerous for you. And of course, it will kill you. But it does help some people, and they won't tell anybody about that. Now, I'm not saying it helped the majority, but a lot of people who used it, it worked for them. And who are we to say? I told you, a man who have an experience is never at the mercy or kissing the feet of a person with an argument. You can argue all you want with me. I've taken it, and it worked. The thing is, how big is the numbers? Well, we're going to go into the story because CNN began to downplay this because they want to shame Trump. My thing is, if you're right about some things, you're right. Now, Trump does go overboard with some of these claims on hydroxychloroquine. Oh, it's just going to be a wonderful thing. It's going to be like an act of God and all, come on, bro. No. Let this thing work out. Because everybody can't take it. It's not going to help everybody. A lot of people are going to end up getting the side effects. A lot of people got heart issues and they can't take the medication. And just like any drug that you take without a doctor's prescription over the counter now, not that you get off the shelf. If you get some if you were to knock the pharmacist out and go out there and grab any drugs you want and you take it, there's a chance your butt will die. And you got a lot of people who's trying to get their hydroxychloroquine and have not consulted with their doctor. The doctor have not prescribed it. And yes, they will die, not knowing that their body makeups and the things that they had pre-taking the hydrochloroquine is the very thing that will kill them. But let's get into the story because, of course, CNN is going to shame any kind of treatment that can help assist people in COVID. Why? Because they don't want Donald Trump to get a win. Why? Because they want to make it about Donald Trump instead of making it a treatment. Let's watch this.
Red flags now for the malaria drug President Trump has repeatedly touted to treat the coronavirus. A new study linking that drug, hydroxychloroquine, to a higher death rate among patients. The drug has been approved for coronavirus in limited cases. Medical professionals have repeatedly urged caution, saying let's wait for more studies, more data. But the president and his allies at Fox News aren't known for patience or for caution.
The FDA also gave emergency authorization for hydroxychloroquine. We're having some very good things happening with it. It's shown very encouraging, very encouraging early results.
This drug that you and I have talked about, hydroxychloroquine, talked about it with Dr. Grace, is already being used. And one patient was described as Lazarus, getting up after after he was like on death's door, and they started getting a protocol of hydroxychloroquine at Lenox Hill, and it's suddenly like Lazarus up from the grave. That's an actual case.
Watching people in the media talk down a potentially life-saving medicine because a politician they don't like has endorsed it is probably the most shameful thing I, as someone who's done this for 29 years, have ever seen.
Hydroxychloroquine is a very safe drug. It has been given to tens of millions of individuals in the world since its approval.
We have purchased and we have stockpiled 29 million pills of the hydroxychloroquine. 29 million. A lot of drugstores have them by prescription, and they're not expensive. We're sending them to various labs, our military, we're sending them to the hospitals, we're sending them all over.
In their protocols, doctors have protocols for doing certain things. They don't even mention complications from hydroxychloroquine because they're so uncommon.
On their webpage, the FDA is offering generic guidance to manufacturers on how to produce hydroxychloroquine.
So the hydroxychloroquine is something that I have been pushing very hard. I got the very early approval from the FDA.
If things don't go as planned, it's not going to kill anybody. It will be wonderful. It'll be so beautiful. It'll be a gift from heaven if it works. If some other person put it forward, they'd say, oh, let's go with it. You know, what do you have to lose?
There's a lot of stuff floating around about the hydroxychloroquine.
Very good.
And the media seems to be almost rooting for it not to work.
Things are happening. I haven't seen bad. I've not seen bad. And one thing that we do see is that people are not going to die from it. So if somebody's in trouble, you take it, I think.
And it's being used worldwide. Yeah, and it's being used worldwide.
This study done by a reputable center, double-blind, randomized trial, showed that there was an improvement in outcomes in patients who took the hydroxychloroquine. It's not a panacea, but you have to respect data.
In my open, I put in a sound of the woman who was a Democrat from Detroit, a Michigan representative, who said, you know, thank God for Donald Trump even mentioning this. Once I got on the hydroxy, I was fine.
Well, your open was spot on.
Is there something
it's politicized. No, it's just, come on, it's like the never Trumpers. It's like, oh, if he's for it, we got to be against it.
I've seen things that I sort of like. So what do I know? I'm not a doctor. But I have common sense.
Joining me now to discuss, CNN Chief Media Correspondent Brian Stelter and cardiologist Dr. Jonathan Reiner. Doctor, I want to start with you and about this study. Now, this is one study, and if my understanding is right, it has not been peer-reviewed. But if nothing else, it should tell us we should not try to play doctor on TV, whether we're the President of the United States or we work at another network, that we should wait and study data. What is your takeaway from what you've seen?
Well, the problem is that we don't have randomized clinical trial data. This country has a long history of approving drugs only when the data that comes from trials which are designed in very careful ways to provide reliable information show that there is substantial evidence of both safety and efficacy. And we don't have it for this drug. Look, I desperately want this drug to work. It would be fabulous. And the president obviously is interested in a quick fix here, but medicine doesn't lend itself to quick fixes. We rely on data, and data where we randomize people to either receive a placebo or the active drug, and we don't have that. The VA study is a small study. It does suggest harm in one of the hydroxychloroquine arms, and really no evidence of benefit, but it's not randomized. It only had men, a relatively older age group. So it's not a great study, but none of the studies are great. So we really have no significant data set that really shows us whether this drug is effective, and quite a bit of circumstantial data that points in the opposite direction.
Points in the opposite direction. And Brian Stelter, that's the point about the responsibility of our business and the president, but we can only speak, I guess I can only speak for our business, I don't speak for him, in that, as the doctor notes, we need more data, we need more evidence, but in anxious times, people sometimes do look to people they trust for guidance, and we know there was a run on this drug.
Yes, and the millions of Americans who use this drug for approved purposes, including my wife, people who have autoimmune issues and need this drug, became worried they wouldn't be able to get it because of the drug pushing that was happening on Fox News and from the White House podium. You know, the president yesterday was asked about this new study, and he said he hadn't seen the report. And that may be because Fox News is barely talking about it, because it doesn't fit the narrative that was being promoted in late March and early April. But recently, Fox has moved on. They've stopped talking about this drug and the hope that it could be beneficial. They've moved on to other quick fixes and other pro-Trump narratives. You know, this network, these stars, they think they're helping the president, but they're actually hurting him when they push these narratives. And ultimately, they're misleading their viewers, and that's why it is so troubling. Why would we ever think a Fox News star or any president should be promoting a drug? It's outlandish.
It is outlandish. To be fair, though, Dr. Reiner, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat, did say, let's give this a try. The federal government sent him an inventory of hydroxychloroquine, and New York did a limited study. And then they've sent the results now of some patients, like compassionate care, I think, is if a doctor's having trouble with a patient, you ask the patient, nothing else is working, do you want to try this? And it's up to the patient to do it. And they have sent data to the FDA now and the CDC. Because that was taxpayer funded, eventually we have to see that, right?
Yeah, and we will see it. There are several really good clinical trials that will answer the question, and probably pretty quickly. But there are all kinds of ways to use the drug. Do you use it early on in the disease? Do you wait till people get sick? Do you use it in young people or old people? Which patients can't you use it in? So these are answers that we have to have, and we'll have them eventually, but we need the data before we recommend the use of this drug widely.
We'll have them eventually, but I'll stick with the medical opinion for a second. Doctor, so you're in a situation like this, a lot of things are being tested. How long? It takes months, correct? To know?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I have a colleague who spoke to me from New York last week, and he told me about a patient who was sick, actually another physician, who was treated with hydroxychloroquine, as well as remdesivir and convalescent plasma, and the patient pulled through, which is fabulous. But how do you know which of these agents or which agents in combination were responsible? The only way to know that is to trial them, and we have to do that. This virus is going to come back, and when it comes back, we want to be armed with weapons that we know work. Now is the time to get that data.
Right, now is the time to get that data. And to your point, did the patients just recover? Did these drugs help them? Was it one? Was it the other? But Brian, we know in the president's case, sometimes he says things and Fox picks up the ball, but often it's Fox that says things and then the president picks up the ball.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We've seen that several times during this coronavirus crisis. The idea about the cure being worse than the disease, we need to reopen right away. These are narratives that have mostly started in right-wing media and then made their way to the president. And he was certainly influenced by all the talk about this drug on Fox News as well. But like I said, they then move on to different narratives on different days, just trying to keep the audience's attention for one more day, I suppose. What would be more responsible is for Fox News stars and for the president's other media allies to emphasize what our doctor here is saying. This is going to take time. We all have to be patient, no matter how hard that is.
Well, I hope as quickly as they can they release the data that All
right, I can't take no more of this BS, okay? So the whole point of CNN is they want to put this focus on Trump and Fox News. Just like Fox News want to put the focus on maybe Biden, maybe Obama, and CNN and MSNBC. I've had it with these media outlets. I had it with these political hacks trying to politicize everything when it comes to something as simple as medication. Well, if he wouldn't have heard somebody on Fox News, he wouldn't have never came on the podium to say that. No. There are doctors who use this medicine in their own trials that lettered the president, and the president began to talk about that. When you're in a position where thousands of people are dying by the day and you're at a literal war, you have to use war tactics to try to save people's lives. Right now, it's not the time to be you're still going to do your trials. You're still going to check what combination, what work or whatever. But right now, there's people dying right now who barely can breathe saying, bruh, give me anything. I'll try anything. And I probably would be in the same position too. I'm not just going, if there's something can help me, anything I'll try, because the way I feel right now, I'm dying already. So give me something that probably can give me some relief. That's why I am glad that he did mention that. I'm glad Cuomo did accept the medication. I'm glad the FDA did approve it. And I'm glad that some of these people are in New York are taking the trial. Now, I want to get to a point before I go somewhere else. I got a friend of mine, Samantha. I'm not going to give you her last name. So I text Samantha, and here's my text. This was April the 10th. Hey, how you doing, Samantha? Hope all is well with you. This is 9:48 p.m. She say, all is well, taking it one day at a time. How you been? I say, I'm doing great. I just want to say hello. I say, I hope all is well with you. And then she said, I hope all is well with you. I've been sick with pneumonia in both lungs. Now, this is my friend. So my job is to tell them about what little hope that is out here that can help them get better. Because I want somebody to tell me too. I don't care if they say smoke 2-3 joints. I don't care if you're a preacher. I'm going to tell you, Pastor, smoke those 3 joints. Because I need you alive, Pastor. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to politicize this thing. I'm not going to make it about Trump versus Biden and Fox versus CNN. I don't give a crap about none of that. And that's the problem with this country. We got too many people trying to take freaking sides when people out there dying. And they don't have to when there's help. Now, she said, I asked her, is it COVID-19? I told her they have meds for that. If you want help, see if you can get it. So I told her, I sent her a YouTube video about not just hydroxychloroquine. See, they're talking about just hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine by itself will not work on everybody. But I cannot say hydroxychloroquine cannot work on some people, because there are some people who use just hydrochloroquine and they got better and they end up coming out of the hospital. Like I said, a person with an experience is never at the feet of a person with an argument. You can argue all day with me, bro. I got experience. And your experience going to shut your argument. I can't even hear what you're saying because my experience speak louder than your mouth. So this is what I told her. I say, at least take a look at it. So she said, I am taking it. She got on a regimen. There's a doctor here, a Jewish doctor. We had a branch of a Jewish community in Westchester County in New Rochelle that had clusters of this. I mean, a whole community got hit with this. So this Jewish doctor began to experiment, so to speak. And like I said, some cases when you're at war, you got to do whatever you need to do to keep the soldier alive. You ain't got time for trials. People are dying. You do the trial, but you try something. If the person consent to it, you do whatever you can, especially if they're already on their deathbed. If they sign off for it and say, look, I'm willing to take anything, you're not going to stop them. Hey, that's what you want. I'll give it to you. If it worked, great. And then people say, well, Trump got, and I hate to be taking sides. Trump said, what do you got to lose? In a situation like this, when you're about to die and there is no cure, there's no vaccine, and there may be some treatment, there may be some malaria treatment, there may be some HIV treatment that can probably drive this virus out your body as a medical treatment. Again, not a cure. You have to consult your doctor, see if you're able to take it. You don't just go get it bootleg and you end up dying. So you put yourself in a position where you can get this medication. Well, she said she was taking it. And she said, I said, all right, so this particular doctor, and I'm going to let you hear from this doctor, he prescribed a cocktail, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin with zinc, and I'll explain to you what that will do. All right, so on April 19, I checked on her. I say, how are you doing? She said, I am 95% better. Thank God. So that stuff works. That's why I asked. So it works. She said, yes, along with God's work. Of course, she like me, I'm going to get God the glory because God created medicine. I'm not no fool to sit here and deny medicine. God created doctors. God created medicine. You take it with some wisdom, you get healed twice as fast. Now, I know some of you don't not believers up here, but I am. Okay? Now, like I said, how you going to tell her this doesn't work, Brian Stelter? CNN? How you going to tell her it doesn't work when she got on a regimen and she's 95% better? And it didn't take long. And when she go get tested again, 9 times out of 10, there will be no traces of the virus in her body. Now, does that mean she won't be able to catch it again? Still probably can catch it again, but at least she knows there's a regimen that can drive it out. See, we're at a point where we were on high fear because this thing swept across the world and we didn't have anything to try to treat this. At least we got some medication, old medication that's tried and tested, that people are using for other different kind of ailments, that you use this in a combination, it worked. Now, look, I'm taking my time with this because this is very important. I want this to go out for people who that probably don't have no hope. Probably don't even know that there's medication that can probably help them. Not saying it can help everybody again. Please don't tell me. You have to consult your doctor about this medication because you might have some ailments or some condition that the side effects, if you got hit with it, can take you out. So obviously you can. All right, so I'm going to go to this next video and you're going to hear a story about this doctor on RT with my main man, Mr. Sanchez, Rick Sanchez from RT.
John mentioned hydroxychloroquine. This is fascinating that he would be talking about that because this is a medication that when taken under the care and the supervision of a doctor can actually knock out, hear me out here, knock out many of the effects of coronavirus on symptomatic patients by as much as 50% or more. This is not generally prescribed for this virus, but it does have FDA approval. Gets a little complicated, but we're going to take you through it. Some in the media are knocking its effect, despite the fact that there are doctors all over the country who are presently using it successfully with some of their patients. Again, by the way, let me just underscore this. We are not saying, nor does this report have information, that people should willy-nilly go out there and find this medication and take it. It has to be, like all medications, taken under the advice of a doctor. Among those who is using this medication is Dr. Zev Zelenko. He's a New York physician who has developed a protocol for this medication with his patients, and he's good enough to join us now to explain to us what the medication is, exactly how he's using it, and what level of effectiveness he has seen with it. Doctor, take it away.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. So what I did was I studied, I reviewed all the literature that was available. From South Korea, there were studies that they were using hydroxychloroquine or Plaquenil, which is the brand name,
right,
together with mineral zinc. And I looked at the French study, and they were using hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin, which is the antibiotic.
Right.
And in both cases, they were being used in the ICU or the inpatient setting. So I thought to myself, I know the virus is coming. I serve a community of 35,000 people who are pretty close-knit living. And I was afraid that it's going to spread in the community, which I was correct, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to make a little cocktail, I call it a cocktail, of modified dosing, of putting the 3 drugs together, of putting together hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin and zinc. And the most important point here is that I gave it to patients, the select patients, not every patient,
right,
when I was seeing them in the outpatient setting in my office. So for example, as of last Friday, we saw around 700 patients diagnosed with the coronavirus. Now, the diagnosis was made in 2 ways. One is with testing. Then I ran out of tests. So basically, I used history and the physical. If a patient was exposed to someone who had the coronavirus and they had all the symptoms and the flu test was negative, it was obvious to me that they had the coronavirus. And I treated them as if they did. So let me give you the results so you can understand.
Of course.
There are three categories that I divided people into. They're the young and the healthy, meaning the less than 60 with no medical problems. I did not treat them.
Of course.
I gave told them, take Tylenol, take fluids. The odds are on your side. More than 99% of the time, you're going to get better. Just relax. You're going to be a little miserable, but you're going to get better. Stay away from old people.
Number two?
Then there was the category where anyone who had shortness of breath, regardless of age. That's a very worrisome symptom because that's the main target. The lungs are the main target of this dreadful virus. And three was anyone who had mild symptoms but fell into the high-risk category, meaning over the age of 60, anyone with chronic medical conditions such as diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and things like that, anyone who was immunosuppressed or on medications that suppress the immune system. Unfortunately, the statistics are that around 10% of these patients in the high-risk category will die.
So you want to get so let me just stop you for a minute. Those patients, those are the ones we're interested in. You give them 2 pills right away and a regimen then of what?
No, I'll tell you what I do in a minute, but let me give you the statistics so you should know. I did not treat 500 patients, basically. I told them, go home, you'll be fine.
Right.
200 high-risk patients, you would have expected statistically 20 dead people and a bunch of people on the respirators. I treated them in my office, and as of today, actually, I have 6 patients in the hospital. 4 of them are getting IV antibiotics for pneumonia, and unfortunately, I have 2 patients intubated on a respirator because they progressed to ARDS, or acute respiratory distress syndrome, and they're very sick, and I had no deaths. So in other words, if you take a look, out of these 700 patients that I treated, I identified the high-risk group, around 200 patients. I treated them, and I had 0 deaths, only 2 intubations, which is too much anyway, and 4 patients admitted with pneumonia, which are on IV antibiotics and improving. That was a significant finding, and I felt I felt obligated to report it as fast as I could to the highest authorities that I could think of. So I made a video appealing directly to the President of the United States, asking him for help, and his chief of staff, Mr. Mark Meadows, called, and I discussed with him my findings, and then I gave out a protocol which became very public, and Sean Hannity picked it up and read my protocol on air and interviewed me, and then I did a podcast with Rudy Giuliani, and next thing I know, today the FDA approves approves the use of this drug. But I want to again reiterate how important it is to hit this virus hard and early.
Yeah.
Because even though the medication...
It makes a lot of sense, Doctor, and everything that you've said coincides with experts that I have talked to around the country, despite what some others may be saying about it. Doctor, thank you so much. Great information. Thanks so much for sharing your protocol with us.
All right, so there you go. All right, so as you can see, how did this information get over to Trump? It was this guy who's in upstate New York near Newburgh, not too far from me, who treated his community with this drug. 700. 500 other people that he treated were pretty much people, because see, they don't tell you these things because they want you to buy into the fear that majority of the people who catch this thing will smooth through, just like any other pneumonia. The only difference is it's easy to catch it. It's easy to transmit it. And by there being no flu shot, there's no shot for this, no vaccine for this, and no medication until now, you get a little nervous about who you get around. Okay, a lot of people are asymptomatic, showing no symptoms. Some people they show symptoms, within 14 days. So you got to put yourself in a position that, okay, you might feel like, oh, I'm coughing, I'm sweating, I'm having a fever at night, body aches and things like that, which is normal when it comes to any kind of flu or any kind of cold. You're gonna have body aches when you have a stomach virus. These things are normal, but because they say assume that you got it and put yourself in a position where you're not around people, stay 6 feet away, blah blah blah, They say that to keep you from probably infecting somebody else. Now, these people went to see the doctor, 700, 500. He was like, look, you're fine. You're not in that position till I see some extreme symptoms, like, you can't breathe and other things like that. Loss of taste, loss of smell. Don't worry about it. You're going to make it take some medication, Theraflu, blah, 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 blah. You're going to be fine. But the 200 people that were in dire straits, he decided to treat them. Majority of them end up going through the process. Never, they didn't get the pneumonia in the chest. But the people who did have pneumonia, he treated them too. As of right now, it's all good. So, of course, he's going to try to get this information out. I'm quite sure he tried to get it out to every news media, and they shunned him for it, because in this country, we got to test till your tester fall off before we try to treat somebody with this drug. We want to make sure it's safe. Hold up. You got a virus that's not safe, that's killing a bunch of people. I get this. You want to make sure it's safe. But if we don't get something to some of these people who have these extreme preconditions, they gonna die. So if you're telling me there's something that can possibly relieve the symptoms and allow me to go through the process where I can get this thing driven out of my body within a certain amount of days, at least tell me about it. Don't knock it down. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't down talk it. Give me some more information. So I'm quite sure Sean Hannity wasn't the only person that he tried to talk to. But of course, Sean Hannity and Trump got this relationship. Sean told him about hydroxychloroquine. But this guy probably told him about that cocktail and how that cocktail worked for him. Now, there was a doctor in Manhattan, in Lenox Hill Hospital, Dr. William Grace. Dr. William Grace said, thanks to hydroxychloroquine, we have not had a death in our hospital. So according to him, this was an article on March 30th, so it's about a month ago. He said, because of this treatment, I haven't had a death. Now, are you going to politicize this, or are you going to investigate and see if it's true? He said the good news about hydroxychloroquine continues to pour in. Last week, Dr. William Grace, an oncologist affiliated with the Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City, said they had not any deaths in the hospital of close to 100 patients. In an interview with Fox News host Laura Ingraham. Now, how did Laura Ingraham get excited about it? Because this doctor told him about his experience. Him treating over 100 people. Now, you don't think you can go investigate and find out if it's true that he treated 100 people with hydroxychloroquine and they did not die? You're supposed to be in the news media. Instead of you running your mouth down talking it, why don't you do an investigation and see if this doctor lying or not? Because if he's lying, you need to take his medical credentials away from him. Instead of sitting up here down talking it, go do an investigation. Go do an investigation of this doctor. Now, let me calm down. He said, we have no death. The success story about hydroxychloroquine is not an isolated incident. Over the weekend, we wrote about Dr. Vladimir Zelenko. That was the gentleman with the beard, the Jewish brother, who have treated 699 coronavirus patients with 100% success using hydroxychloroquine, sulfate, zinc, and azithromycin, or what they call a Z-Pack. Now, I told you the story of my friend. Now, I got a couple more stories. My friend, who I care about, who ended up getting this virus and ended up having bad pneumonia in the lungs, she took this cocktail and it helped her. Again, I'm going to tell you again, a man with an experience will never be at the feet of a person with an argument. You can argue all day with me. You can't tell me it don't work. Because here I am saying I'm healed. As for Dr. Grace, Laura Ingraham later tweeted about the story and deleted the tweet. You want to know why they deleted the tweet? Because as soon as somebody start talking hopeful stuff, somebody going to try to steal your hope. And don't you never let somebody steal hope. I'd rather be hopeful that these things work than hopeful that it don't. Now, will I go out there unconsciously trying to take this medication without any kind of help from my doctor? No, you're asking. That is a license to die because you don't know if your body can handle the medication. And I understand Brian Seltzer or whatever his name. His wife used this medication, hydroxychloroquine, for, you got it for lupus and things like that. And these people went into fear thinking that it's all of a sudden going to be scarce like toilet paper. Well, that's why our government went and worked deals with other countries in producing hydroxychloroquine. That's why Trump went to India to talk to Modi about getting some hydroxychloroquine. See, like I said, I'm not a partisan hack. You do some things right, I got you. I'm going to back you up. When you do something wrong, I'm going to come at you. And what Trump said today about, ultraviolet rays in the body and all this stupid foolishness, dude, you're wrong. But he's not wrong about this hydroxychloroquine. He got that from probably from Sean Hannity. I don't care if he got it from Shawn Michaels from the WWE. Long as it's truthful, I'm going to back you. Now, today, Dr. Vladimir put out a new video today about his treatment and his regimen and what it has done for his community. He adjured Trump to take a look at this regimen that he has and the success. He adjured Trump. He adjured everybody to investigate him to see if it's true. His studies is out there. The doctor at Lenox Hill Hospital, they're not hiding. They're asking you to look at it and let's try it on most patient. But no, what the news want to do, the news want to sit there and they want to sit there and put something up to discourage you to think it don't work because they thinking it's going to make Trump look like a hero. I don't give a crap about, look, I don't care what Trump do right now. Trump can come up with the cure. That don't mean I'm going to vote him in. I done told you before, I don't vote for bigot, pathological, lying rapists. Whether it's green, red, or blue. Not voting for Trump, not voting for Joe Biden. You do what you want. I don't vote for pathological liars, bigot, racists who harm community of colors with rape allegations. That's not me. But everybody has an opportunity to do something good, no matter how bad you are. You can do something good. Don't take away what you did bad, but you can do something good. Now let's listen to Dr. Zelenko on this, talking about it again. This is a YouTube video that he put out today. Watch this.
Hello, this is Dr. Zeb Zelenko. It's been a while since I made a video, so I just wanted to wish everyone a good Shabbos and give an update of what's been going on. So I'm coming out with a study, God willing, next week. It should be published in one of the top journals, I hope. And the study is going to document the data for 1,450 patients that were seen through my office with my team that had the COVID virus, COVID-19. And out of those, 405 were treated with 3 drugs. I'm sure you know by now: hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc. And my statistics were that unfortunately 2 people passed away, 4 people were on a respirator, and then they're now off the respirator, and around 5 or 6 were admitted in the hospital with pneumonia, and most of them are home now. These results are significantly better than what was to be expected statistically. So it's a clear proof that the medication approach, especially when used early in the infectious process, works wonderfully. These results are consistent with that of Dr. Didier Raoult from France. His results also were around 88% reduction in death and hospital admission. He had a slightly different protocol without zinc, but nevertheless, early treatment did make a big difference, and this is also consistent with several hospitals and clinics in the country of Brazil. They also implemented my protocols for the last few weeks and also had excellent results, also 95% reduction in death, and that's a published study that came out last week. I'd also like to address returning back to society. I think the key here is to have a blood test that documents immunity. There's a lot of false blood tests out there, but hopefully by next week, an FDA-approved blood test for antibodies will be available, commercially available through the labs, specifically BioReference Laboratory, and we're looking for IgG antibodies. What that means is that if you have IgG antibodies, that means you had the infection, and either you've recovered or you are in the recovery phase, and that most likely you're immune to this infection, you won't get it again. What that means is that if you've been symptom-free for a few weeks and you have IgG antibodies, you can essentially return back to normal life. So that's a very important piece of information, and I strongly advise everyone to have this test, but not the tests that are not FDA approved, because their accuracy is not very good. So we want to get good results, good quality information, which again is through the FDA approved IgG testing, specifically through BioReference, who uses the Abbott machine, the Abbott testing. We're close to getting over this problem. I've been dealing with many governments. I've been dealing with the United States government, and we hopefully will see a change in policy and approach in dealing with this infection, not letting people progress to end up in hospitals, but basically treating it like any other infection early in the process, and that is the answer to reopening the country, the economy, and getting back to normal life. So that is my update. I wish everyone a good Shabbos. Give you a bracha for good health, long life, Yeshiva Das, Menuchas Nefesh, and we should be zeichet to the Geula Shlema, which is the refuah via Klaudus for the ganze Welt. Good Shabbos.
Now, I know some of my black brothers, some of my black brothers don't trust the Hasidic Jews community. I don't know. I'm not like that. I'm a humanist. I love everybody. Okay? I trust you based on your action, not based on your skin color, who you are. Okay? I don't think everybody racist. I call you racist based on your actions. I can sense this man has a sincere heart and he want to help people. I can sense that this guy is doing whatever he can to make this a sense of urgency. Now, over 1,000 people he treated, he said, what, only 2, let's say 4 out of 1,000 passed away. Now, those people who passed away was already far gone. That's why he talked about, soon as you find out you got some symptoms, he believed that these treatments should, especially when you got the hardened system, you're having trouble breathing and things like that. Don't wait till, get the treatment. Once you get to that point, go get some treatment and you'll get through it. Like my friend, when she got to the point where she had the pneumonia in the lungs, she got the treatment, she was done. She didn't have to go on a ventilator. Once you get on a ventilator, it's a little tougher. Plus, you got to know that whether your body can handle that. I'm quite sure out of 1,000 people, some of those people will probably have some side effects that really don't supposed to, one of the 3 medicines probably don't agree with them. Who knows? Now, him talking about going back. He was talking about, first of all, we need to do the antibiotic testing approved by the FDA to see who had it and who probably can be immune from it. We could take some of those antibiotics and help other people get better. But with this regimen, these things need to be done. You need to be tested. Honestly, personally speaking, I think everybody need to get a test. The thing is, they're not available to everybody now. The president talked about mail-in testing and things like that. You got to make sure it's FDA approved, because you might get some testing from China that's whack. You might get some testing from, bootleg testing from Harlem, and it's whack, and you don't even know it. You want to get the proper testing to see if you got it. And if you got it, they have treatment according to this. If the doctor prescribed it for you and you can handle the side effects, this treatment, this regimen can drive the virus out your body. Thing is, the only way we can try to beat this virus is everybody take the medication. For those who are great, don't put yourself in a position to get the virus. Those who have the virus, put yourself in a position to get on a regimen to get rid of the virus. Okay? It's simple. The more people that don't have the virus, the quicker we can get back to normal. And then, like any other medicine, anytime you get sick, whether it's a cold, headache, flu, whatever, stay your butt home, in your home, and get better with your treatment before you go out. Just like any other place. You know you're sick as a dog. You don't need to be going to work. You know you're sick as a dog. You don't need to be going to the restaurant, to no fight or nothing like that. Your butt need to stay home so you can get better so other people don't catch it. This is not new. This is not rocket science. You're sick. Stay your butt home. I know your boss don't give you good sick time and things like that, but you got to do what you got to do. And that's why we need to change some of these laws. Thank God New York has 5 sick days. Thank God New York is trying to work on 10 paid PTO days. Giving you 15 days just in case you get sick. You can stay your butt home, still get paid, and get better before you go back out. And once you institute these things, if this thing was going on all across the country where everybody had 5 sick days, everybody had 10 PTO days. Whenever they get sick, they can stay home, still get paid for being at home, and get better. I don't care if it's flu, headache, migraine, whatever. Get better before you go back out. That way you're not affecting everybody because you don't have the flu no more. Likewise, when it comes to this situation with COVID, you get the virus, you find out you're positive, stay your butt home. If you start and ride it out, because the virus can't stay in your body that long. If you start having those extreme situations where you can't breathe, blah, 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 this medication, this regimen should be available for those who can take it. Now, there's other medications out here that's being tried and working on some people. Again, it's not going to work on everybody, and it may not even work on the majority, but it's working for some. You just got to find out what fits you. But to continue to tell people there's no hope is a lie, a sham, and shame on the media and shame on the politicians that's going around saying that. Because there is help. Will it help you? Don't know. If you get the virus, call your doctor. If your doctor say, come in, ask him about the regimens, see if you can handle it. And if he say you can't handle it, you're going to have to ride it out. But the point I want to make to you is the news media is trying to hoodwink you, bamboozle you, and keep you in a spirit of fear, making you think there's no help whatsoever, that you're doomed, especially in the black community, because the black community and Hispanic community is getting hit hard here. I'm not saying every community can't get this virus, but the black community and Hispanic community is hitting hard here because, number one, sometimes it's our condition. A lot of us vape, a lot of us smoke. I mean, all colors do this. And sometimes the virus can hit us a little harder. But my thing is make the treatment available. We should have Medicare for all. We should have plenty of hydroxychloroquine. We should have plenty of the other medicine that's helping in Chicago and in Detroit. We should have access to any kind of treatment that we can qualify for, that our doctor can prescribe. Anyway, I'm done with this particular segment. I really want to hit hard on this because to see that CNN is shaming this medication, to see people who are Democrats just going to tell you, don't take this, it's going to kill you, blah, 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 because they're listening to Democratic talking points, because they're afraid that if this medicine works, it's going to make Trump look good and it's going to get him reelected. Fools. I'm not no fool. Ain't nothing going to make me reelect. No, a miracle cure is not going to get an automatic vote for president. I don't give a crap who you are. Because I don't believe you came up with the cure. I just give you credit. There's few things I give Trump credit for. There's few things, a whole bunch of stuff I don't give him credit for because I think he made some bad decisions. But that's how it is when you take any political office. That's why I pray that my president makes sound decisions. I pray for people in Congress to make sound decisions in the House and Senate. Same thing with governors, same thing with mayors and political leaders in our local government. I pray for them. They're not going to make it. They're not going to always make it, but when they make the dumb decision, it got to be brought before them so they can see how bad of a decision it was so they don't make that decision again. That's called holding feet to the fire. In this situation, to shame medication that has already helped people in various forms is a tragedy. And shame on CNN, shame on MSNBC, shame on all these Democrats, shame on all these Democratic supporters for doing this. And shame on Laura Ingraham for dropping this. Shame on Dr. Oz for dropping this. If it's working for people, let the people who it's working for do all the talking, not you. My friend just did the talking. You gotta let the evidence, let the people do the talking. So Dr. Oz, shut it up. Let the patients do the talking. Mr. Zelenko, I respect you, brother. Let your patients do some testimonies. Nothing like a testimony. Because that is king. And you can argue with me all day and tell me it don't work. All I know is I had pneumonia in my chest and it was making my chest seize. But the moment I took this medication, not me, I'm talking for the patient. The moment I was prescribed this regimen, according to my friend Samantha, I'm 97% better. It reminded me of scripture in the Bible that said, look, bro, you can argue with me whether Jesus healed or not. All I know is I once was blind, but now I see. So keep talking. I couldn't see you before. I can see you now. I see you running your mouth trying to tell me it don't work. But bruh, here's proof that it worked. So move on. I'm Rob Brown with the Rob Report, special Rob Report on this COVID-19 and treatment. I'll at you later. I love you. And we'll be back on the next one. Talk to you soon. Peace. Peace, peace, peace. Oh, yeah. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you want to donate to the cause of Bob TV, hit the PayPal account. Let me put it back up right here. I don't do this for the money, but here it is. PayPal.me/Bob TV NYC in all caps. And I will holler at you later. Peace.